Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending what part of the world you are joining us from. My name is Rosalie Olmsted. I am WiCyS Executive Assistant, and it is my honor to have here today with us WiCyS Strategic Partner ServiceNow. But before we get started on their incredible webinar, I would like to give a quick overview of the WiCyS organization. We often go by our acronym WiCyS because that is exactly what we are, a global cyber sisterhood. WiCyS is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity. Our community is made up of 70 professional affiliates, 270 student chapters around the world, with over 10,000 members. We offer a variety of initiatives and programs throughout the year. Our annual conference, leadership series, our job board plus, our speakers bureau, and many more. We owe all of our wonderful initiatives to our strategic partners who fund us year round. Specifically, we'd like to give a shout out to our tier 1 partners being Akamai, Amazon, Bloomberg, Carnegie Mellon Software Engineering Institute, Cisco, Ford, Google, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, Optum, Sandia National Laboratories, and SentinelOne. Throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the questions box, and we will be getting to them at the end of the panel. And lastly, please feel, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the WiCyS newsletter to keep up to date on our current programs and upcoming webinars. You can do so at wicys.org and click on subscribe in the upper right-hand corner. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Lily at ServiceNow. Lily, all you.
Thank you so much, Rosalie. So welcome everyone to Trailblazing Security, Women Engineers from ServiceNow Leading the Charge. I am Lily Takahashi. I'll be your moderator today. A little about me. I am a Senior Threat Intelligence Analyst at ServiceNow, based out of San Diego. I've been in the cybersecurity industry in particular for about 3 years and been at ServiceNow for 2 of those years. So before we get started with our Q&A, let's start with some introductions of our panelists. So starting with Mira, can you tell us a little more about yourself? We cannot hear you, Mira.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Hi, everyone. My name is Mira Kalina. I've been with ServiceNow for 4 years at this point. I'm a senior product security engineer on that BSR team. I've been in cybersecurity in general for 7 years and in tech for about 12. I am also on the leadership board of a local WiCyS chapter in San Diego.
Great, thank you so much. Moving on to Jess. Please tell us a little more about yourself.
Sure, thanks, Lily. Really excited to be here today. My name is Jessica Ng. I'm a senior manager on the security compliance engineering team at ServiceNow. I'm based out of San Diego. I've been in the cybersecurity space for 13 years, and I've been at ServiceNow for 8.
Thank you very much. And last, Akila, tell us a little more about yourself.
Thanks, Lily, and thanks for the opportunity. Hi, everyone. I'm Akila Managoli. I'm a senior manager for platform engineering team at ServiceNow. I've been with ServiceNow 9 years now as of last month, and with cybersecurity, I've been with 8 years. And I've been had a good tenure of 12 years plus in tech industry. On a personal front, I love running, and I've just finished my half marathon last month again. And me and my husband are raising 2 boys.
Oh, wow, that takes a lot of dedication. Thank you for sharing more about yourself. Alrighty, so now we're going to move on to the panel Q&A. And like Rosalie said, if you have any questions that are not covered in this planned part of the Q&A, please write them in the chat. And we will plan to cover some of them at the end of the webinar. So first, we're going to talk about each panelist's leadership and career journey, learn more about their technical expertise, how they have driven change in cybersecurity, navigated challenges, and what they see as the future of cybersecurity. So first, we're going to start with leadership and career journey. So Jess, What inspired you to pursue a career in cybersecurity, specifically in engineering, and how did you find your way into your current role at ServiceNow?
Great question, Lily. So I began my career as a consultant auditor at a Big Four accounting firm doing IT SOX audits for large public companies. It was really a great introduction to security, and I found it so interesting to see the importance and impact of seemingly small actions and processes to a company's overall security posture. I feel like sometimes you feel like you're just one person doing one small job at a really big company, but in that job, I really learned that it's the small actions of many people that are what contribute to the bigger picture and really make a big difference in the grand scheme of things. And I was really inspired by that. I was inspired by the fact that you could make small improvements and those really add up and make a difference. And I wanted to make those small improvements to help make these big companies more secure. So after that, I worked for a few other companies and eventually landed on the compliance team at ServiceNow and was able to significantly expand my knowledge of security compliance. And I was given the opportunity to lead an engineering team to automate security compliance testing. And it's just been so fulfilling and exciting to be able to combine my passion for security with my love of problem solving and building.
Awesome. Well, that's really great to hear that you've been able to blend your multiple passions. That's really inspiring. Akila, please tell us please tell us how you got to your career here at ServiceNow and your current role.
Thanks, Lily, again. I've been an engineer by background academically, and I started off my career a decade ago with working for Apple as a quality engineer. In that role, I really gained a lot of expertise in back-end services integration and developed passion and strong interest for pen testing and cybersecurity in general. It was very generic, experience there. And after that, after my time at Apple, I transitioned to a startup where I collaborated very closely with leadership team to assess and establish security standards for supply chain enterprise solution from scratch. And it was a great, great learning experience there. And just before joining ServiceNow, my startup underwent a penetration test by Google, and they provided a comprehensive, report. And when I went through that, it just literally blew my mind and sparked my interest further in security. Like, this is something I really want to pursue as a career. And subsequently, I got a role in IAM team, which is Identity and Access Management at ServiceNow. That's where my real cybersecurity journey began. And from that point on, I've changed several roles within security org as an architect. And I work very closely with SOC team, on the engineering side, being able to help them provide tooling and platform capabilities for them to support their work. And I learned a lot more about SOC and threat intelligence while being in that role. And I transitioned to, and I'm grateful for the opportunity of having to manage the team today.
Yeah, that seems like a really, really good opportunity, a really interesting path. Thank you for sharing. Mira, same question for you. What inspired you to pursue this career path? And tell us more about how you got to your current role at ServiceNow.
Yeah, sure. That's interesting how our penetration testing is like often one reason why people are getting interested in cybersecurity, and I'm not an exception to that. So before my current role at ServiceNow, I was doing penetration testing, which was my first cybersecurity job. Was my entrance to this career in general, and how I got interested in it. It was this. I think it was like a 15-minute WiCyS documentary that my friend showed me, and it was about this red team engagement, and they were testing the physical security of this industrial power grid somewhere in Midwest. And at the time, I was an iOS developer, and we were just watching this as an entertainment. And when I saw it, I was like, this is a real job. People get paid for it. That was amazing. That was so mind blowing. And yeah, that was my first introduction that the whole offensive security red team penetration testing exists in general. Yeah, and it just I took it from there and just dropped everything and dove right into it.
That is really, really cool that a documentary or short video clip led you to your career here. That is very cool to hear. So I'll talk a little about my career path too. I started my career in forensic psychology with federal law enforcement. I changed to data analysis, research integrity investigation, still in the federal space. But I pivoted once again to national security intelligence analysis, and then I finally learned about what cyber threat intelligence was and about all the like non-technical skills that I had learned through my various roles in the government, and how that could lead me to this career path that I have right now in cyber threat analysis. So it took me a few years and a couple different pivots to find my way here, but I've never been happier with my career path in cybersecurity, and I feel like I finally know where I'm supposed to be, and that's in the cybersecurity space. So that's a really exciting place to be. So thank you all for sharing your various career paths. It's really cool to hear that we all have very different paths, but we've all arrived at the same place at ServiceNow. So moving on to our second question, Akila, what leadership qualities do you believe are most important for women pursuing cybersecurity leadership roles in particular, and how can they develop these skills?
Yeah, it's a great question, Lily. Yeah, when it comes to leadership role, I think like any other field, right? Even leadership roles in cybersecurity, it really demands strategic thinking and interpersonal skills, right? Being able to think ahead, the roadmaps and all of that comes really handy. That's I think across the board. Uh, and as this space, cybersecurity space, it's slightly male dominated. Women are definitely we are making our way up here. We are working really hard. But I do see that, having a little bit of good technical background can definitely weigh in and help, carve a path towards leadership, right? Um, and many times, in a core cybersecurity roles, and I see that, we are dealing with a lot of sensitive data, and which requires, high level of ethical integrity and higher standard for privacy and data protection, and having that mindset and, like getting your skills get upskill in these areas will definitely help you, carve your path towards leadership for sure. And above all of this, I feel that, having a mindset of continuous learning, that really is the key. I think that again goes back to any leadership role or anywhere to succeed. I don't know if you've heard this saying, you snooze you lose, and that definitely true in cybersecurity too. We got to be on top of things, being having that mindset of continuous learning, that definitely will help give an edge.
Absolutely. A lifelong student or lifelong learner, for sure. That sounds really essential for leadership roles. Yeah. This next question is for Mira. What skills or qualities do you believe are most important for women pursuing non-leadership cybersecurity roles, and how can they develop these skills?
Sure. So yeah, I can talk like more about like if you're interested more like in the technical side, I guess. But also in general, if you're someone who is like new in cybersecurity, I would definitely try to get into like as many different domains as you can, whether it through internship or like various like jobs or just like on your own, like as a side project, because there are like so many different types, like so many different domains of cybersecurity, right? And a lot of them they require like different type of skills to be successful. So I would definitely like try to focus on that first. But if you think about like just if I had to like pick one quality, that would be probably like questioning everything, and 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 like for example as I mentioned, like I was a developer before, and when I would like build an application, like you would look at a function and you would see like, okay, this function like I accepts like an integer, but then you would like sit there and question this, like what if I fitted like a special character, it's like just kind of like think outside the box a little bit, and like every time when you see a rule, question that rule. see if you can go around it, because this is how like malicious, like attackers like get into a network in the first place. They see a rule and they try to question it and go around it. So if you kind of like follow that mindset, you can find a lot of things that you could fix at an organization, like at any level, whether it's like through code review or like built-in like security, like posture in general.
I really like that answer. Always staying curious, always asking questions, always trying to find the ground. Uh, yeah, that's a really interesting answer. Thank you for that. Jess, this next question is for you. So we're going to move on to technical expertise and innovations. So Jess, how do you stay up to date with the constantly evolving cyber threats and technologies in this field?
Thanks, Lily. Well, I'll start by saying the fact that everyone has taken time out of their day to attend this webinar is amazing, and already shows that you're dedicated to your growth and development. So kudos to you all for being here. I think it's so critical to stay on top of what's going on in the industry, not only for your own personal growth and development, but also for the success of your company. As Akila said, you snooze, you lose. Like, you have to keep learning and growing. And sometimes it can be easy and comfortable to limit your field of vision to just what's happening on your team or at your company. And I know it can seem daunting to try to stay updated within the cybersecurity space when it's always growing and changing and evolving. But again, so important to always learn and stay on top of what's happening. And really the way that I have found that it's best for me to do so is just by incorporating it into my daily routine. So I read the news through my phone on Google, and I'm able to kind of identify topics that interest me. And cybersecurity and technology are some of the topics that I like reading about. So when I'm reading the news every day, I'll get articles about recent data breaches or new laws and regulations or emerging threats and risks. And it really makes it easy to stay on top of things that are happening in the space. And then when I'm reading those articles, I like to think about how that topic applies to my role and ServiceNow. So for example, if there was a data breach at another company, I think about how ServiceNow could have prevented that, or how we would have handled it, and what are some potential gaps in our processes that we need to address to make sure that we don't end up in the same situation. And then the other thing I really like doing is talking to people in my network, other people who work in cybersecurity, whether it's at ServiceNow or other companies. And I just find that it's a really good way to learn and connect with other people about things that you have in common.
I agree. Having a nicely curated RSS feed can be extremely helpful in keeping up to date on what's happening in the world and how it could be relevant to your company, your vertical, whatever it may be. Yeah, thank you for that answer. That's really good practical knowledge. Thank you. Okay, next question is for Akila. What emerging trends in cybersecurity should professionals keep an eye on?
Great question, Lily. When I think of emerging trend, like any other field, cybersecurity is ever evolving, right? You wake up every single day, there's a new trend that's popping up, right? And if I sit back and think, the first thing that comes to my mind definitely is cloud security. With the shift towards cloud services these days, like the big company that are providing cloud services, there's definitely a need to up the skill in ensuring the security of cloud environments. It's very, very critical piece, right? Which includes, robust identity and access management piece, having limited access model to the cloud services and so on and so forth for a given enterprise, and encryption and continuous monitoring. All of this is encompassed in cloud security. So it's a great, trend to follow and a field to, upskill in that. And next thing I can think of is probably more close to you, Lily, extended detection and response. Uh, it provides a comprehensive approach to threat detection and response. It helps by integrating the data from multiple security products into a single system. This integration definitely allows for more holistic view of potential threats and it makes it easy to identify and mitigate risks. So this is again another emerging technology for sure. And how can I not talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, right? And AI and ML, we know that it's transforming any and every industry, and cybersecurity is not new to that. It's definitely transforming cybersecurity industry by enabling faster and more accurate threat detection. It definitely can help in that. These technologies can definitely analyze massive amounts of data, right, in a shorter period of time, and help in identifying unusual patterns and behaviors which may indicate security threats. They come very handy in that for sure.
Absolutely. I know, Mira, you have some more to add on this question too, right?
Yeah, I kind of had to. AI, I mean, it's an obvious answer. It's everywhere, everyone and their mother using it. And it's definitely going to change the landscape like a lot. Um, like, yeah, it helps us to build those tools, and that's amazing. But like on also on the other side, like the adoption of like the malicious, attackers, like it's skyrocketing. It's so easy to use. Like only a few years ago, we were talking about script kiddies and how easy it is for like any kid just to go on GitHub and like download like any malicious code and like trying to do whatever with it. Now they don't even need to do that. They just ask ChatGPT and that's it. And this like the at the rate like how fast like that threat develops, like we are definitely not up to speed like on the cybersecurity side, like catching up with security controls for it. And we have to, I think we have to like revisit like the way we look at security controls in general. Like some of those like types of verification, for example, they can be like completely wiped, like a voice recognition. That was something that like a lot of like banks use, right? So like when you call, they use your voice to like confirm that you is you. Now it's not a thing anymore. So yeah, like those things. And I mean, social engineering in general, we know that like human is the weakest link in the security. And now um, even if you're a seasoned security professional, like those scams are getting so good. And yeah, no, it's going to be a really tough battle. I'm really curious, like to see how it unfolds, but that's something that we definitely have to keep an eye on as an industry in general.
I completely agree. Like you were saying, humans are the weakest link, and we're getting even weaker, or the threats are getting even stronger. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, now we're going to move on to talking about driving change and diversity in the cybersecurity industry. So, Jess, this first question is for you. How do you think the cybersecurity industry, and specifically engineering, can better support and retain women and other underrepresented groups?
That's a great question, Lily. It's definitely a challenge. I think that representation of women and underrepresented groups, especially at the leadership level, is super critical. Everyone, no matter what level you are, wants to grow in their career and achieve as much as possible. But I know personally, unfortunately, as a member of an underrepresented group, sometimes when you're thinking about your career prospects, you may subconsciously limit yourself and your potential to what you witness in your environment. And if you're not seeing someone who looks like you in a leadership position, you may think, maybe that's not an option for me. And I think that's really upsetting because your career prospects should be based on you and your own qualifications and not limited by what currently exists out there. So I think that it's really important for the cybersecurity industry to ensure that women and people in underrepresented groups are supported, and so that they are represented in leadership roles, so that other people in those groups can envision themselves and aspire to be in those roles as well. And they're less likely to go looking for a job in another field where there appears to be more opportunity for growth. And instead, they can be confident that they absolutely can have a long-term and successful career in cybersecurity.
I completely agree. Completely agree. And Mira, I know you have more to say on this topic as well.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like that was such a good point. It's like, yeah, like this, you're so right. It's like your environment like it doesn't mean that like your environment is hostile. Like that makes it difficult for you as a woman to be in a cybersecurity or like in any tech related field. Like if no one around you like looks like you, like they can be the most like friendly, polite, and welcoming group of people. You are still not going to see yourself in those roles, and um, this is like this is way more important that I think we are currently admitting as an industry. And I like this kind of a thought experiment. Like, if you think about like a career that you want to be, or like a team or anything, and like you work on a team where everyone is the same gender as you, the same ethnicity as you, the same background, and maybe like same years of experience. If you picture yourself like working in that environment, how much of your like imposter syndrome would just like immediately disappear? Like, you're probably not even think about it. You do not like need to compare yourself or like think if you're like different in any way. You just focus on like what you need to do, like as a part, like part of your job task or whatever. And this is how like men feel on their everyday life on any team that they ever join, like in tech, as we're talking about it. And it's definitely way harder for us. I don't think in our lifetime we're going to get to that point where we know that like any company we join, we're just going to see people just like us. So just kind of like, yeah, and I hope we can make a dent. I hope we can change the industry a little bit to the better for the next generation. But for now, I think the representation is definitely the biggest hurdle for women or like any underrepresented group in tech and cybersecurity specifically.
Yeah, thank you, Maren. I'm really interested in how you were saying that it doesn't have to be intentional. The lack of it doesn't have to be a toxic work environment, but just the lack of representation can still affect women or anyone in an underrepresented group. It's a really good point. And now we're going to talk about some mentorship. So how important, this question is for you, Mira, how important is mentorship for women in cybersecurity, and how have mentors or role models shaped your career?
That's kind of like perfect to continue what I was just rambling about, because that like really the next step from like thinking about representation in general, and the fact that we have to go out of our way to like find a community, because most likely we are not going to find those people like in a team that look like us, that have the same background and path and etc. So mentorship or like any groups like specific to your interest is extremely important, to learn to see that there is like someone that look like you, have like is where you want to be in future. You see it's possible, and then you can do it, just by like believing that there is a place for you there. Um, so yeah, just like going out of our way and like building that community, building that team outside of your team is very important. But also for like someone who is like at the very beginning of their journey and maybe don't like have that network yet, like you don't know like where to start. There's like one thing that helped me a lot at the beginning. Your mentors don't need to know that they're your mentors. You can learn a lot from like just following people on it. Like for me, it was Twitter. I know there's like LinkedIn influence, like LinkedIn not so much, but Twitter that was like a lot, because infosec is it was pretty big before it turned to X, but yeah. Yeah, and it was interesting. Like I was following like a few women that were in InfoSec. I learned a lot from them, and then a few years down the line, when I was already like in the cybersecurity, I got to meet them in person at DEF CON and Black Hat, and that was amazing and like very transformative experience. So yeah, try to find your mentors, but if you can't, just go online. Uh, there's a bunch of them out there.
And that's a really good point. You can be inspired by people you don't know personally. You can still learn from people you don't know personally, and maybe someday you will get to know them. It's a good point. Thank you, Mira. Okay, now we're going to talk about navigating challenges. So, Akila, this question is for you. Cybersecurity can be a high pressure field. How do you manage work-life balance, and what advice do you have for others navigating similar challenges?
I love this question really, because I kind of resonate a lot more to this. I've been through situations, so that I'd love to share. But in my introduction, I did call out that I'm raising, along with me and my husband are raising two boys, and that tells a lot about my family's full pack. And at work, I know I'm leading a big team, an engineering team as well. Um, my take on work-life balance is, it's just not a buzzword. It's really a cornerstone for overall well-being, right? And it's very, very crucial to sustain a growing career as well as maintaining the family life balance, both. Uh, the tricky part about this word is both work and life are journey. None of it is static here. Both are dynamic in nature, right? And they're not, it's a continuous journey and not a destination. So we have to keep at both of it every single day, right? And over a period of time, what I've learned is to constantly evolve to the situation and learn and to strike a balance. So in my career journey too, I've been in a very different role. I've been independent individual contributor roles, to team leads, to now leading and managing the team, a huge team. So I've been in various different roles, and I've gone through striking balance, work life balance in those roles, and along with my life journey where I was just married at the time, and then no kids, married with one kid and then two kids now, right? So I've gone through that phase too. So I just want to share like what are a few things I've done that has helped me. Picking back a little bit back on what Mira was telling, mentorship has definitely helped in all of this area. I'm a firm believer in seeking mentorship. One thing I learned early on is, you don't need to make mistakes what others have done. I need to make new mistakes, right? There's no point in making the same mistake what other people have done. So mentorship really plays a huge role there. So you can learn from people you don't know to people you know. I personally have had mentors within the company I work for, ServiceNow, so where I can reach out and bounce ideas like both professionally and personally. Like once you build that trust in place, you can bounce ideas off, and sometimes you just need advice. Sometimes you just need a hearing ear. Like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Or somebody just hears you and listens to you, and you feel good about it, and you walk out more energetic out of the situation. At times you're like, hey, I can't see my back. Somebody can tell you this is a little course correction can get you more ahead in your career and the work you're doing. So those have been very, very helpful. The first thing that I really think of when it comes to work life balance is prioritize and delegate. Both professional and personal, we need to have priorities set. I used to initially think I'll manage my time, but I soon realized there's nothing called as time management. It's task management, right? So what task how many balls you have in your hand and how you want to juggle with it, right? So managing and prioritizing your task definitely helps. And if you're at a leadership role or lead role or manager role, once you're getting into those positions in your career path, learn to delegate responsibilities, because we women are known to carry the load of the world. We feel somewhere proud about that. It's good, but at times we need to learn to offload, right? We need to empower and trust the team members to handle specific tasks. That's the way I can grow and I can grow my team. It's both, right? And delegating definitely allows more efficient workload management for everybody. And next couple of things I think I can think of is, being resourceful, meaning, even at home and in my life, in my life, like work, outsourcing work that doesn't need my personal attention and time, right? How can I get that done? Little things can help you, can get you the time back that you need for yourself, right? And definitely cultivate support system. I think I talked a little bit about that. Having good network of peers and mentors definitely come very, very handy, in growing yourself out of situations and also growing yourself overall. And support system from a family perspective, right? Again, based on where you're in life, in your path, figure out what is that support system for you, right? For me, it's always been my family and my girlfriends. Like, I can just go to them and, hey, I have a work call in the evening, can you watch my kid, right? Simple things like that can, takes the stress out of your mind and head, right? So, and I'm an immigrant in this country. I know I live in Bay Area. I don't know if I mentioned that. So I had to build a support system around me, and where I more reliable support system with my extended family and friends, where I can rely on and still grow my career, right? And my balance both. And I won't end this my thoughts without talking about self-care for women. It's very, very crucial. And again, I learned it over a period of time. Taking time to think about yourself, it's very, very important. And taking that me time, it's very crucial. I highly suggest each one of you and to do that. um, Exercise regularly as much as you can, at least 20 minutes, on a treadmill or a walk, can definitely free up our mind and give the clarity to think more clearly, right? It gives us the space. So, learn to prioritize yourself every single day. So that's kind of what I want to share my thoughts.
Thank you, Keela. And I really like your point about growing your network in and outside of work. Can be very beneficial for both your work and your life balance. Yeah. Thank you for that really comprehensive answer. Okay, now we're going to talk about the future of cybersecurity. So, Jess, this question is for you. What advice would you give to aspiring female cybersecurity professionals looking to make their mark in this field?
Sure. So my answer to this question is kind of specific to rising in the ranks and getting promotions, just getting more opportunities. I think that my answer is very much aligned with what Akila and Mira have been talking about with regards to women in general, where we tend to take on a lot and try to do it all. And I think that working hard is great, and we can do it all, right? Or, it's great that we're trying to do it all, but I think that working hard will only get you so far. And to be successful in all aspects of your life, you can't do it alone. Everyone needs support and advice and guidance. And like in your personal life, like Akila was talking about, where you have your friends and family to support you and all the things you're trying to do, I think you need a similar team of people at work who will help guide you and help you realize your potential. And I think that your leadership is a huge part of that. I've learned in my career that it is so important to have a leadership team who is supporting you and helping you grow and advocating for you, giving you the opportunities that will help you advance. And I think leadership just has a huge impact on your career and your overall happiness at work. So I would say that if you are feeling like you're not getting that support from your current leadership, it might be good to consider making a change. And if that's not possible, look outward to other leaders in your company or in the industry, or from mentors who can help fill that gap. Because again, you can't do it alone. You definitely need to have a really good support system and guidance in your life, in your career. And I really think that the sky is the limit for female cybersecurity professionals. And when we're in an environment where we're fully supported, the opportunities are endless. So I'm really excited about the future of female cybersecurity professionals, and I think we absolutely are going to make a huge mark in this field.
Absolutely agree. And Mira, do you have more advice as well on this question?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to go back to like something I mentioned a little bit earlier, is to try to go into as many domains as possible at the beginning of your career, to make sure that like the field you're in is something like you're definitely interested in, because as your career progresses over time, you will be kind of like more like narrow and narrow than like pigeonholed to like one thing that you're doing, because this is where you build in your expertise. If you're in the physical, if you're like in the hardware security, you're gonna most likely stay in that. And if you like, let's say you have, I don't know, 10 years of experience in hardware security, you switch into application security. You're like not necessarily starting from zero, but you're like taking a few steps down. So if you have like an opportunity to figure out for yourself like where you want to be, that's going to be huge for you, because you will have all the passion, you will have all the interest, you will have like all it, like you would be like really interested in being like actually like continue and developing whatever domain you decide to stay in the beginning. So it's, you can do it by either like joining a startup, because when you're like at a small company, you tend to wear like so many different hats, and maybe it's a difficult path to take. You're probably going to work like a lot of hours, but at the end of the day, this kind of experience can help you to realize which hat like fits you better, right? Or if you're working for like a bigger company, some companies like they're very like welcoming and actually encouraging you to switch teams. They make it easier for you to go from one team to another and try yourself like in different domains. If that may be not an option for you, like there are always like these workshops, like even WiCyS has like so many different workshops when you can like learn about different career path that or maybe like even learn how to do things like hands-on, right? So yeah, like once you figure it out, like everything else is kind of just like automatically comes with it, because you will have passion and interest, and that what will drive your growing your professionalism and expertise in the area.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Mira. Is try not to limit yourself early on, because you might be surprised what your passion ends up being. It's a really good point. Okay, I have one more question, and this is for any of our panelists to answer. What resources, communities, or organizations would you recommend for women looking to start or advance their cybersecurity careers?
If I can take a quick to add my thoughts there, Lily, I think one thing I have learned, I've done most of the learning on the job, and I've reached out to SANS, certifications, and they really have, across the board very good certifications, be it reactive and proactive, in both sides, like red teams, blue teams. They have certifications in various different domains. Whatever domain you're looking at, they have very good resources. And just by us, I mean myself, I've looked into LinkedIn Learning. They have some good courses for sure, for beginners, right? And also Udemy has good beginner courses, and also can get into intermediate if you're looking into start. You're working somewhere, but you want to start equipping yourself with cybersecurity skills. These are the good resources you can start using for yourself.
Those sound like really good resources, and I agree. I have most of my learning I've done on the job, which I know isn't necessarily the best resource, but it is surprising how much you can learn on the job. Um, yeah, Mira or Jess, do you have anything to add?
So for me, like as I was mentioning, like Twitter was like a huge resource. It's just like when you follow people that like have that specific interest, you're going to get like that, the fresh information. And other than that, I would definitely encourage like trying to find like your local groups. There is like a lot of information online, and that's amazing. But there is like something about like being like physically present. Like if there is like a security workshop, like if you can find something on a meetup, for example, or like WiCyS has like so many chapters like around the world, and what way you can actually like physically like meet with people. And yeah, I think we learn a lot from other people in person.
Yeah, I think those are really good resources. I would say I'm someone who likes to learn by reading, and I think that what I would recommend is you definitely don't have to get the certification, but I think that like the study guides for the CISSP certification, those books give you a very high level overview of all the different security domains. So you could just read it just to learn about a little bit about everything. Getting the certification, takes a lot more work, but I think it's a good start to just learn a little bit about everything.
Absolutely agree. Yes. So, okay, thank you everyone for your answers on the resources and communities. This ends our planned Q&A session with our brilliant ServiceNow engineers. I'm now going to pass it back to Rosalie with WiCyS to answer some audience questions.
I am muted. Thank you, Lily, and thank you to our incredible panel. I have seen we have a lot of questions that have come in, so please continue to send them in, but we're going to start going through them. So the first one, and I actually very much enjoyed this question, was it's evident that you are all very passionate and excited about your work. For any number of reasons, though, we sometimes miss the chance to celebrate our own individual accomplishments. What is one work accomplishment each of you is particularly proud of? Something that makes you smile when you reflect on that you did it.
It's a hard question. I need to think about that.
I know. I thought this was a good one though, because I was also curious.
Yeah.
Because I do think, as women in particular, we downplay our achievements, or we'll knock them off to the team effort. But I think it's also important to recognize what we bring to the table.
So one thing I can think of is, I work a lot with the ServiceNow platform and, automation on that, and delivering the automation for our SOC teams, that's in particularly, right? I think one of the first automation we built was for phishing security incidents. At that point, it was done, everything was manually. And then when we built this automation using our ServiceNow platform, and that was a huge time saving for our SOC team, right? It was almost by year end when we calculated almost 1 to 2 resources of time saving. So when we could really come out with that, that was a great. I would say I'm proud of that accomplishment. And now we have a dedicated automation team which is looking at how do we use AI and make it more smart. That's already underway, but that definitely stand out for me if I can think of accomplishments.
Okay.
I think for me, I'm most proud of my team. I think that being a team lead is a lot of responsibility, and I think I've been very deliberate about building a community of people who really trust and support each other. And I'm just really proud of the team that I've built and how they do that for each other and help each other out, and they're there for each other and they work hard and they're great people. So I would say I'm most proud of my team.
Amazing. Lily, Mira, you want to weigh in?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mira.
Sure. So I think for me, like one thing that I work on a product security incidents response team, we are maintaining the bug bounty program. And a few years ago, I added a Hall of Fame to our program, which, like if you think about it, is like maybe doesn't sound like a big thing, but just adding that kind of like way to recognize the researchers that like contribute to the security of our company just because they want to, and from building the Hall of Fame, like now we are like developing it even further, and there's like more different like layers that we like improved it. But that one thing that like I'm really proud to like kind of like started So now we can like continue. Now we can acknowledge that it's like important, and it's like a whole stream of work now that I'm really excited to continue working on.
Amazing. Lily?
Yeah, for me, well, from my introduction, I don't have necessarily a technical background, like in cybersecurity, even cyber really, but so that tends to be like my biggest work in security, and but recently I studied took the boot camp and passed the CTI Cyber Threat Intelligence certification through SANS GAIAC. And that felt really good. It felt like it's solid. I know what I'm doing. I have the proof now. And I worked really hard for it. And yeah, that's something that makes me smile.
I love that. I enjoyed hearing what you guys are the most proud of because I could see you all light up when answering that. So I very much thank you for that question because that was a very enjoyable for me to hear your responses. Would any of the ServiceNow certifications, such as the Certified System Administrator certification, be relevant for someone seeking a role in cybersecurity?
Again, I'll probably take it first because it's very close to the domain I support at ServiceNow today. Yes and no. The reason I say yes and no is, one thing to get into cybersecurity, it doesn't have to be a linear entry, right? Like where you have done all certifications, you've just studied computer science with cybersecurity as a background. You heard all of us talk about our various different backgrounds. And there's always a non-linear way where you're working in, be it IT, be it DevOps. They all are very closely connected to cybersecurity and security in general, and can give you that foundation, strong foundation to enter into cybersecurity, right? And the certification in specific here, Certified System Administrator, it empowers you, and it builds your skill set to manage a ServiceNow platform and administer it very well, right? And that's a good start for an administrator path, and that can give you a segue into cybersecurity with other certification that you can add on. Like, if you're a beginner, I can think of CompTIA, which is a very basic certification, can get into, and you can learn a little bit more of networking skills. So those can add on as a cybersecurity skill set, and combination of that can be a good segue into cybersecurity.
Wonderful. Does anyone else want to weigh in before I go to the next question? Okay. How has the recent evolution of AI affected your job as a security engineer? Or your job if it's not that title?
One thing that stands out for me is our CEO Bill always says that it's not the AI will replace people, it's lack of learning AI will replace people. So, as a manager of an engineering team, I think one thing I am doing currently is to empower my team to learn about how AI can influence and add on to what we're doing today, right? And that's a shift in mindset. When AI came along, it was, we all were like trying to figure it out together, and we still are figuring it out. Like, how does it, what is the disruption it can do? It can do a lot of great things. It's all about how we can plug it and play with what we're trying to do, and how we can make it help us, make our work better, right? What ServiceNow stands for, make our life better. That's kind of how I can see AI plugging in. It not necessarily may not change our roles, but it definitely can help us change the way we do things. That's my take on that.
Okay. There have been a lot of questions about how to join ServiceNow and the different career options. So I do want to highlight to everyone that there is that announcement displaying on your screen that will get you into connecting with ServiceNow for careers. And that is the best way to get those questions answered. So I wanted to make sure that we hit on that. But I am seeing a lot of people just also talking about how they are transitioning into cybersecurity, and they have a lot of different backgrounds. We had some people mentioning from a nonprofit, from education. Do you have any specific tips for someone in those roles that you would give them to maybe take that first step? Because I think it's a little overwhelming stepping into this industry with not any, if they don't have the degrees maybe to back it.
I can talk a little bit about it because this is how I ended up in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
And then tech in general, because I don't have like a traditional like CS degree or anything like that. And especially at the beginning of my career in tech in general, it was like largely self-taught. And I acknowledge that it's like not everyone can like do the same thing, but this is the way like I got into it. Um, my first jobs in tech, they were all unpaid, so I would just show up at like smaller organization that was like back when I lived in New York, and I was just like, hey, I know a little bit of this. I'm happy to help you. Just like let me help you for free. Back then I was working like I was bartending to pay my bills as my full-time job, and like as as my other kind of like volunteering job. I would just go out and get all these like free gigs and that I learned on the job, and that would be something I could add to my resume. And I did it a few times, just working like, here and there, to eventually start getting like, paid like at the beginning, like obviously minimum wage, and like using that knowledge to like get some certifications over time, like got like all the like beginning CompTIA certifications, and those are also really great. They a lot of company recognize those CompTIA certifications as kind of like that you have that like knowledge to you know to have like a very entry level positions. So yeah, just trying to see where you can where also like where you can apply what you already know from your previous jobs, right? So it's like, as I mentioned, I was bartending, and there was this event at a company that worked with like a blockchain cryptocurrency kind of like industry, and they were like throwing events sometimes. So I went there and I offered to bartend for one of the events. This is how I got like into the company. Eventually, I started like building mining hardware rigs for them, just to like as a background. So I was like they're like network engineer and like cryptocurrency, like trading all the things. So yeah, just kind of like go around, like see where you can apply yourself. Yeah, big big creative, I guess.
Love that. Because I know, like, I got into this industry purely because of just networking and communicating and talking with other individuals that I was like, oh, your job sounds interesting. I'm going to ask more questions. And then going to conferences, I feel like was also a very helpful because I think you can start to get your dipping your toes in it.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I'm sorry. I also have something to add on that. So ServiceNow does have an early in career program, or EIC program, that I would, if you are interested, definitely look at the link that is posted in this webinar to learn more about that program, where you don't necessarily have to have the years and years of experience that it seems like you might need for some certain like higher level positions. Also, I think there are some soft skills or non-technical skills that are transferable. And that is kind of how I ended up here. So I worked in intelligence, and intelligence is its own field, and it's more of a soft skill that requires a lot of analysis, and that's kind of how I pivoted from like national security intelligence to cyber threat intelligence, is with those soft skills that are very transferable. To really lean into those, I would say.
Wonderful. Does anyone else want to weigh in on this question? Because we are actually at time, so we're not going to be able to get to any more. But if you wanted to weigh in on this last question before we close out, I wanted to give you an opportunity.
I would say don't be too intimidated, and just believe in yourself. Like Lily said, like there's so many transferable skills, and for a lot of the jobs out there, I feel like you can learn on the job. And as long as you have the will and motivation to learn, like, you can be successful.
Yeah. To add on to that, you don't need to be perfect. As long as you have a progressive mindset, that can probably, lead you into the role that you're looking at, and adding all to all what all three of you shared, right? Again, you don't need to have all certifications to begin. Start small, think whatever the small goal you have, start with that, and you can definitely make your way into the career path you're looking at.
Wonderful. I just want to say thank you all. This was an incredible panel. Thank you for sharing your experiences and your career paths, because I think it is very helpful for all individuals to hear that it's not just a linear path into this industry, and that there's a lot of different options when you get in. So thank you so much for your time today. Thank you everyone who joined our webinar. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day.
And thank you, Aziz, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you, WiCyS.
Thank you. Bye-bye.